Welcome into the Vicky Luna Show. I am super excited today. I love to bring on guests, and especially ones that know their shit. I have been working with Rhonda. I'm going to bring her on in a minute here. I've been working with Rhonda for a while now, and she backs up through numbers everything I see through my eyes of predictions. And so it's always cool to chat with her to see what's coming up. So I am so excited to be bringing you on, Rhonda Reif. Welcome on
I'm
the
excited to be here, Vicky.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So today, first of all, before we get into like the juicy stuff here, which you guys are definitely going to want to hear, I want to know. We want to know, like, tell everyone. We know you're a numerologist, or I just announced that. So you have a multitude of gifts that you do. So let's. What is your thing now? How about that?
Well, since the pandemic, everybody sort of had to reinvent themselves. So I've been doing a lot more of this kind of stuff. And I have I have a book coming out, a chapter in a book that I'm part of a conglomerate. It's called Business, Life, and the Universe. I have a chapter in there coming out sometime in March.
When is
Yeah, so that's
out?
they haven't given this a specific release date, but they said sometime in March it'll be coming out. And so, yeah, I'm pretty excited. I was one of the guest people to be in the chapter, and it's all about my experience of my near-death experience as a child and how I think I received all these gifts when I crossed the bridge and sat at the table of wisdom and knowledge and stuff. So you have to read that and how it kind of links all of that to that and sort of helped me to have all of these curiosities as a child and numbers and colors and energy and that kind of stuff too. So very much into the metaphysical. The thing that always surprises people is that I have an MBA and a master's in communication. So I had that whole corporate dynamic before I had health issues, and then that led me into holistic medicine. And so for the last 30 years, I've had a private practice. I also had a School of the Healing Arts and have done, lots of radio shows and things too, written children's book and a relaxation CD. So I've got a lot of stuff out there, so you Google me and find me. Yeah, so with the pandemic, then you have to do more things that are more at a global level because you're not getting necessarily foot traffic. And I live in the Midwest in a small rural town, so a lot of the stuff I'm into, the community isn't really that receptive. So I do a lot of charts and distance healing things and even consulting things too. So that's kind of my thing. But before that, I did a lot of public speaking. And of course, those things have gone by the wayside as well too. So this whole thing I've been really immersing myself in doing writing more. I have a book on numbers coming out later this year. I'm still editing it. And so that's going to be pretty exciting too.
Awesome. Well, congrats. Excited to get those books when they're out. All right. Well, we'll at the very end of the show too. I will definitely be posting your info, and we'll be able to contact you. Just before we get into the show too, Rhonda has helped me in the past myself. Even though I'm a psychic intuitive, I know things, and I always just like kind of align with her for her to back me up on even my move here to Florida and relationships and business, and even the name of my book, Finding Your Soul Color, coming out here soon too. I always use her like just as a background, and she helps out tremendously. So at the very end, make sure to check out her information here. This show, I'm excited because we are right now in February, and we have some big energy portal shifts coming up. February 20th, 2022. We had February 2nd already, but we're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about the next 6 months, or at least till June or something, about the numbers and how they coexist and her predictions, or I'm going to say what the numbers show. The energy, and also we're going over the energy of two. Try to say that 20 times. Okay, so I'm going to put it over to you here, Rhonda. Whatever you are going to give us a wealth of information, I'm sure. So chat away.
Okay, so first off, the one thing that you brought up was that, that I've helped you with names of your business or even moving to a different state and picking all of that too. A lot of things, like I take mine way beyond numerology. I go with the science of numbers from Pythagorean mathematics, and people don't realize that, he was this very famous person who didn't just do numerology and look at just your birth date, which is what most traditional numerologists do. He actually looked at everything in the universe as numerical, from music to to sound, to the number of leaves on a plant, to the particular day in the calendar. He did not just limit it to your birth date or even just your name things. So everything, as we know, I'm sure your listeners realize, everything is an energy. Everything is out there having some kind of an energy. And when you think of it, the numbers work like sonar or like sound. So when you say something, whether it's the name of a business or a product or a person's name or a birth date, it's like the rings of a tree or the ripples in a pond when you throw a stone in it, where it goes out, it hits a surface and it bounces back. And that's how we perceive and receive different messages and energies from people with that too. So that's why you're going to find that you're more compatible with some people, or maybe you're going to have a preference to one restaurant or another. One of the things I started noticing, because all of a sudden we started doing deliveries during the pandemic, all of a sudden looking at the receipts for the addresses, all my favorite restaurants have this certain sequence where they have double numbers, like 3311, they all had master numbers in them, 11, 11, 11, or they'd have 22, 24. And so start noticing those things, because this is just more than, okay, let's just, see what my name is for fun. It really is the universe communicating with you, whether it's from the guides or your higher self or whatever it is that you want to, perceive that as being. So it's more than just, okay, let's just have our birth date done for the fun of it. It's really, I use these numbers to tell me exactly what's going on and what's communicating. So this year is 2022. So the first thing that tells me is that there's 3 2s, which add up to a 6. So right now, all of us on the planet are in a 6 year, which is about us with family, community, dealing with things that are relating to partnerships because of all the 2s, and not just romantic partnerships. It's also about relationships with possibly vendors or other customers. Possibly it could be with neighbors or spouses or even pets. So it's all about things being in 2s and working with that. But then, because this is a dynamic of also being a 6 year with those 2s, it's all about family and community. So this next year is going to be super important to pull together as a community, as a family, as a partner, work with others, and get your common goals with that too. And it's going to be about also finding your community. So there's a lot of those kinds of things that are going on now, because there's also a 0 in this particular year, 2022. That also signifies that there's a protection. Like in the Old West, they used to circle their wagons. Well, it's the same thing. There's also, you can do a circle of salt, all of that stuff. So then when the number 0 appears in some kind of a date or a chart or whatever it is, an address, that means that there's protection around that. So that means that this year there's a lot of protection going on within families and within communities. And so it could just be, like all of a sudden you got extra coverage on your insurance, or maybe you added some kind of a security system, but also know that it means that there's going to be extra protection around you from your guides. So that's sort of the
don't mean to cut you in, but that's because there's a 0 in there.
That's because there is 0. That 0 is that circle of protection.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
and we're going to have that this whole millennium, because we're going to have the 2-0 this whole millennium. So this millennium, as we've gone into it, is going to have that more of a protection in it. And you can tell because, once we switched into this millennium, we have gone into a lot of situations where we've needed that sort of extra protection from, the divine power or whatever it is that you call it. And so this whole millennium, we're transitioning and we're going in new directions from the 90s or 1900s. We're going in a whole new direction where we're becoming more spiritual, I believe, and becoming more about global things and the greater good for humanity. And so we're going in new directions. We're not that old business model where you get up and punch a time clock and, time to make the donuts. It's all about sort of trying new things. And so that protection is there. It's like that safety net that's there for us. So there's a lot of that going on with that too. So, and last month, of course, was January, which was a 1 month. So 1 is always about new beginnings. And there was a couple of portals that happened there. And now this month we're in February, which is a 2. So this is a really great month to do our reading or our radio show, because here's another 2. So the whole month of February is going to have that 2 energy. It's going to be totally magnified. And when you think about it, Valentine's Day is in February, of course, that's about partnership, and all of that too is about coupling with that. But there's a lot of things that begin to start in February that's sort of growing for the whole year. So now expect this month. This is the month for you. You've done the hard work in the past. You've come up with the idea in January. February is the time to really start bringing it into fruition. It's the time for you to get into looking for new people and new ways to partner, new ways to work with that, to build relationships. Because you know what? I've had, a series of different, like we talked about, corporate jobs or jobs within that. And I can tell you, you don't get the job because of your education. You don't get the job because of where you went to school. I mean, that might happen because of you went to Harvard.
No, I totally agree. You manifest
But what,
everything. Totally.
well, but what happened is that because you went to Harvard, you made connections. Everything's about connections. It's about who you meet. And so this year and this month is all about finding those right connections and then getting ready to sort of explore them in March. So during February, like you said, we already missed the 2-2, there's a portal, but any day that there's a repeating digit, it's going to be a very powerful day. So those are really high energy days, really high dynamic days, and days about, looking about trying new things or getting that extra energy. So the next one that comes up is 220, because that's going to be 02202022. So look at all of those zeros in there for protection. Plus then that's going to add up to a 6, 8, 10. So it's a 1 day. So that means that it's going to be this day for great, trying new things. You're going to have lots of protection for you. So, if that was the day that you were looking to start a new job or launch a new product or do something like maybe, come up with some kind of start a new business, sign a loan, that's going to be a good day to do it, because there's all that protection around there. Is a partnership, and it also is a 1 day, which means it's a great day for a new beginning. So the next then portal would be, of course, the 22nd of February. And if you leave out the zeros, it would be 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, so, but it also makes it a 2 day. So that means that it's going to be supercharged then with partnerships and, working with others and just sort of having that sort of relationship thing again too, because 2 is about relationships. So it's just going to be a dynamic month if you can sort of get out of your own way and just sort of, like you said, manifest, let that energy come to you. Wayne Dyer always talked about how you train for you allow the mind to bring the things to you. You don't necessarily have to go out and seek them. If you want the broom, you think about the broom meeting you, where you need it. And so that's the way that you want to let this energy work this month too, is to allow that 2 thing, but also realize the synchronicity is there. So when you start seeing that pattern, like, look at 222 on February 22nd is going to be a super dynamic time. So those are the things that you kind of want to watch about and kind of go from there. So any questions about that before we go on to March?
Yeah, well, let me know. Yeah, so I'm sure I'm going to come here from the viewer or from the listeners' ears. So they're like, okay, what can I do that day? Because it does, it is an amplified manifesting day. And let's say there's something they want to bring into fruition as far as manifest or desire. So what would be some kind of things, like maybe call in or write down some, calling in some people, or like you said, I like how you said, starting your project or maybe launching it or having a new launch date, or maybe doing a vision board party or something that day. Like what will help the energy even propel that even more?
Okay, so from a numbers perspective, the 1 is the day for manifesting. So like, for instance, on the 21st of February, that is going to be the day that you're going to manifest the partnership. On the 2 day is about partnership. It's about what did you manifest is actually coming into reality. So the vision board would be super great to do on the 21st. Maybe, get together on the 20th and figure out what you want to do and have those kinds of things, or from now until the 20th, and just utilize that magic energy that's going to happen from the 20th until the 22nd. But the 22 is going to be about bringing it into fruition, about sort of sealing the deal. So the 1 would be the vision board, and then the 2 day would maybe be about the meditation of, like actually visualizing that already happening. So the 1 day is when you sort of create it, and the 2 day is when you imagine that it's already happened. So, I don't know if that clarifies it enough for you, or,
Yeah.
like for instance, if I wanted to sign a new lease, I might do my shopping between now and then, but then maybe it would be, if I'm going to go into business or sign a new lease or get a loan, I would do it then on the 22nd, because that's the partnership day. So I
Right.
can manifest it ahead of time, visualize it, and then bring it into fruition. That's the day that 222 days are bringing it into fruition.
Awesome. Okay. I think that helped out a lot of people. Yeah. Okay. And now we'll move in. So pretty much just, this is a magical month. Let's get it going, with partnerships. And partnerships are everything. Synchronicity of, partnerships, even your own partnership with how you view things and how you have it, with yourself and money and things too. So I think it's great to bring in new partnerships. I love too how you said new, because I'm already getting that in my own business here, is bringing in new ideas or new creators or new social media people and things like that. So I like that fresh. Like it sounds like it's to bring it in now, because spring cleaning, and then springtime's always the time of launching. So it sounds like it's to bring it in now, the partnerships.
Yes, and that's because of all the 2 energy going on this year.
Love it.
So,
Okay. Love it.
so then March is of course a 3 month. And again, we're going to have 3 portals that month too, because there'll be, 3/3/22, 3/22/22, and then 3/23/22. So anytime you see a repeating number like that, that's definitely a message. That's definitely a message from, a communication. People don't realize that numbers are the only universal language, and every culture across the world understands number. They understand that 1 means 1, and that 7 means 7. And so it's actually a way to communicate, and that's what Pythagoras believed. So when you look at this and it's repeating numbers, that's a sign for your higher self to go, whoa, there's some kind of energy going on here. And so anytime you do see that, so we'll see that repeat through the months, but the remainder, like up until June of this year, each month has at least 3 of those, where they repeat because of their month. So what that does is that supercharges those days. So as we saw in, like January 1st was a good day to, set intentions. And then February with all the 2s is a good day to bring it into reality. As we head into March, the 3 is all about making it fun and expressing it. So if you said, okay, in January, I'm going to write a book. In February, I'm going to find the publisher, the person to design the cover. I'm going to look for somebody to do illustrations or whatever it is, edit, whatever it is. And then in March, I'm going to have the fun with it. And the thing is that the 3 is also about speaking, communicating, is about having sort of coloring outside the lines. So the 3 is then when you sort of become really creative. Like, how am I going to get this book out there? Who can I talk to about this book? And I'm just using a book as an example. It could be, that you're going to start a new, where I live, there's a lot of snow. You're going to start a new, shoveling business. So there's all of these things that are going on. And then the 3 is when, how do I make it fun? How do I bring that fun and laughter and joy and create it, like actually physically create it? I've thought it in January. I've visualized it in February, and now I'm going to actually get some meat into it, take a bite out of it, and actually start playing with it.
Awesome. I love that. And 3s are always what I'm drawn to, and 33 and 3. And last night I just did a Super Bowl party, and 3 was the winner. I was like, I am calling, 3's calling me, and I won. I won $125. So I love 3s. So that sounds amazing.
And again, see, you're drawn to 3s, Vicki, because your last name is a 33. So that's going to be a supercharged, day for you too, when you look at March 3rd. And that's how like your numbers come into play too. So somebody who has 3s in their charts or 33s, March is going to be a very powerful month for them, as opposed to somebody who maybe has all, fives in their chart, and you have a lot of fives too. So that's the way too that you can kind of look at this, like what is the best day for you, or how does this, help you to do that. So March, again, like you said, spring cleaning, we change into a different thing in Chinese medicine, and we go from there. It's all about sort of getting rid of the old and bringing in the new. But again, it's about having fun doing it. It's like when you think of all the Disney movies, when they're cleaning, they have fun because they have all the birds come in and they sing and the squirrels help them. It's like that. It's like, how can I make this mundane thing be fun and appealing and childlike? So that's the energy of March. April, we're going to look at fours. So again, we're going to have to look at putting our nose to the grindstone. Maybe now the hard work has come in, let's use the book idea again. We got it working out. We've got it published. We've, gone on and done Facebook things about it. Now, all of a sudden we got to really buckle down and do the hard stuff of it, which may be doing book signings or contacting, different people that maybe will put it in their stores, or going out and trying to, get sales set up at a booth. Now is all about the hard work is coming in with that stability, reliability, dependability. And so we're going to see a lot of those kinds of things happen with that too. And you were talking, I think before we went on the air, that you said there's going to be a truckers strike coming up in March. There's a lot of things happening in March too. So a lot of the COVID programs are ending in March. Like there was a thing for help with internet for families and all of that. That's coming to an end. A lot of the food protective kinds of programs are coming to an end in March 1st. There's a lot of things that are happening. So we're going to see a lot of struggles that are going to start to happen in March, but most people won't feel those effects until April. And here we are again, back to that sort of, looking at things. So I would have to say that we need to really look at in April, watch for situations that are come up with things that are going to create maybe financial hardships or things where we need to start looking at preparing for April. And so if we can do that now and sort of manifest it, then, make it fun and, get things done and get things put aside and get prepared. Like you said, plant a garden, that's something that you can do. That's kind of fun. And now then that'll help us to get through that April month, which is going to be sort of a heavier energy because of the four dynamic.
Can I ask you something about that now that you say this? It's very interesting. And I've always seen this in my readings in life, and everything is about April. And it's Easter. And I always see and I thought about this like last Easter, because every time around Easter in April, I do feel it's always a hard month. And I feel that not only is it hard, you'll see this is when kind of more anger and death starts too, because the summer solstice. But I'm just wondering, is that something to do with the four? Because I do feel that most Aprils are, they're not bright and cherry. I'm amazed, but I didn't know if that was just my number, but that's what I do see as a whole of society, is I feel like it's just more of a heavier, like you said, heavier month, and it's kind of a cleansing, clearing month. And I was wondering if that's anything too, because Easter's always there.
Yeah. And so the four is definitely it's a hard energy. It's a square. It's a box. It's conforming. It's one of those things where, you have to really, but if there's too much pressure put on a box, it will collapse. The triangle's much stronger. So whatever comes your way in March, you can handle it easier than what comes your way in April. April is a lesson of the four. And in feng shui, the number four has to do with your family location in your house, but it also rules the liver. And the liver is interesting. You brought up the thing of anger. The emotion of the liver is anger. And so we move in March, around the 20th of March, we move into liver gallbladder, which deals with, liver gallbladder. So we move into that dynamic of the liver gallbladder, and there it is again, with that energy of that coming up. So it's the end of March. So as we transition into April, so that does bring all of these dynamics, because the gallbladder stores all the negative emotions. And then the liver, again, is anger. So you're looking at all of that kind of stuff going on. And then there's a lot of, religious holidays that happen with that too, like Passovers during that time, and Easter, and all of the dynamics of that too. So, it's one of those things where it's about that struggle, or, just making sure that you've got your ducks in a row, because it's going to be a time where you really have to buckle down and get serious.
Right. Okay. So we're going to be preparing for that in April, this April.
I prepare for it in March so that April's a little easier.
Oh, okay. So I know everybody at home is like, okay, what do I need to do to prepare for this? So what would you be some suggestions to prepare for this? Maybe put some extra money in the savings, grow some food. That's gonna be my thing. Only because I feel the truckers and food shortage. But yeah, so what would be some extra things?
Okay, so from a health perspective, one of the things that you could do is that you could start doing things that, get things that'll help you to detox. One of the things that I just got was I am stocking up on things that you add to your water to help you stay hydrated. I bought one of these pitchers. I'm really into alkaline water. I believe that everybody should drink alkaline water. But because of the shortages and things that kept happening at the store, I went ahead and got a machine that I can make my own and a pitcher that you can also make your own. They have little pitchers now too that aren't very expensive, less than 30 bucks.
Share.
So
share that. What's that called?
It's an alkaline water pitcher, and it's you just add cold water to the top, put the filter in the bottom, and it actually creates the alkaline water. But I also have a machine too that you can plug in and hook up to your faucet too. But I was buying alkaline water because it's so much better for your body, and you can hydrate yourself much better using alkaline water than even spring water. And so it adds minerals and nutrients and things like that into it. So that was one of the little things that I did because there's shortages on the shelf. So every time I would call to try to get the alkaline water, they wouldn't have any. And so I got really frustrated. And so that's just one of the little things that I'm talking about, that, yeah, you could put money aside, but how is it that you could do things that prevent you from having to spend that money in the first place? So there was one of the ways that, I was looking into it.
In other words, figure things out to be more self-sufficient.
Yes, absolutely. Things that you're not going to have to, necessarily have to focus on things like that as well. And so, that's a little thing that I did. Also, that looking at ways to help do the cleansing things, things that the alkaline water will help cleanse the body, but maybe, doing things with more lemons in your life, but the alkaline of the lemon helps to alkaline the water. So eating more alkaline foods. There's other things that you can do to sign up that maybe will help prevent from having to worry about the stores. For instance, there's a lot of those dinner kits that you could get, or those boxes of where you can buy the damaged fruit and vegetables. Those are kinds of things that you could do where you're not necessarily depending upon the grocery store supply chain. And again, I'm all about supporting your local businesses because that's really important too. But just things that you can do to sort of, think outside the box. Maybe if you use a lot of certain kind of one product, that might be something that you want to stock up, ahead. But I'm not saying go out and hoard because then
great. Yeah. Okay. Well, the other thing that has been coming to me intuitively also is learning to do stuff yourself. So even getting magazines, like right now I want to do is it called hydroponic gardening? I think it's called hydroponic. I want to learn how to do some certain things, but I've never done that, or chickens. And I saw some magazines the other day and I was like, wow. And I've been feeling like just learning how to do things yourself. And so that, that kind of goes in line with what you were saying with the alkaline water.
Yes. So one of the things that I did was I went to the local hardware store, and I did this last summer, and I got buckets and I drilled holes, had a friend drill holes in the bottom, and then put gravel in, and then, topsoil and dirt, and then put some tomato plants in there. And I think I had a couple pepper plants and stuff too. So even if you don't have a place to like actually dig a garden or put in a raised bed, you can do some container planting. And I've been seeing some really cool things that was on Shark Tank where they actually have these totes that are made out of canvas, but you fill them with dirt, and then they come with these seed packets that you just lay over the top, that the seed packets are already sewn into it. And it's just a very phenomenal thing too. So that's another way that you can do things too. Yeah, it's very cool, looking at some of those things. So there's a lot of things out there that you could do that you could actually get ready for those kinds of things, as far as like, and it could even be maybe even just start on your taxes now so that you're not so bogged down in April, or filing for an extension in April so that you don't have the stress of everything that's going on in April to do that too. So there's a lot of things that we can do to sort of prepare to ease that kind of energy of that April, where it's all about that hard work and, being sort of nose to the grindstone.
Okay, great. Thank you for that extra info. Now we got May. May is one of my favorite. It's my birthday month. May is usually really good for me, but Yeah, I'm wondering about numerology because May, actually, this May, which I have my goddess retreat in Sedona during the eclipse, the lunar eclipse. And the eclipse is eclipsing in Taurus and Scorpio. I'm a Taurus with the Scorpio moon. I was like, oh boy. So I'm just wondering how May is.
May is all about fun and risk and travel. It's about freedom and courage. So that's I got goosebumps talking when you were talking about your retreat. It's like, that's a great month for travel. It's a great month for trying new things, for stepping outside that comfort zone. So when you think of four, the four is a square. Think of yourself as you're like in this box. And five is like the Jack in the Box where the lid pops up and you can jump out. It's like, whoa, I can come up for air now. So the five is all about, getting on the road and doing things and, having that kind of stuff too. So, I would expect that by May, if we do have this truckers thing and we struggle through shortages in April, I'd suggest that probably because five is all about travel and all of that, that probably things will be moving again in May. So May is a very moving kind of energy, although, like you said, Taurus is there. And so Taurus is a very stable energy and it's sort of grounded because it's an earth sign. So you still stay grounded, but it's all about getting outside of yourself. So March is all about fun and spontaneity, and the May is about adding risk to that spontaneity. It's about doing things. So five is a very impulsive month. So May is sort of an impulsive month where you might just say, oh, I'm driving down the thing. Oh, look, there's a little flea market. I'm going to stop off and get it. Or, hey, I'm going to sign up for this and maybe learn how to be a life coach. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going to happen in the five because it's like you get to come up for fresh air. So May is going to be great for starting new things, traveling and exploring things, even if it's something as simple as, okay, all of a sudden there's no ground beef at the store. I'm going to start eating, ground chicken or ground turkey, or maybe I'm going to, eat fish instead. So it's all about trying new things and exploring new things. And we're going to see that kind of come in then about May is where we're going to start to see where we're going to get outside of our comfort zone.
So let me ask you, the eclipse, this is interesting. So now that I think of it, the eclipse it's a lunar eclipse and it's on 5/15. Pretty sure it's 5/15. Yeah, because it's the last day of my goddess retreat. That's what I'm doing in Sedona. So does that have anything of significance? So that'd be a 6, right? So 5, 6. So, but it's 5, 1, 5.
Yeah. And so when we do that, when we lower that down, it's a 51522. But then in numerology, you always have to add the 20, so the 2022. So what this number actually equates down to is 566. So that is going to be, because it's the 5th month and 1 + 5 is a 6, and then 2022 adds up to a 6. So it's a 566 day. And so that means to me that this is going to be a day for community and bonding and family. And again, family doesn't have to be blood related, and change and new things, like going a new direction, getting outside of your comfort zone, exploring new things. And then with the energy of the eclipse, it's going to be a super powerful charged day for you to just absolutely maybe sort of get a breath of fresh air, or maybe even have new connections that are within that community and service. And 6 is all about service too, about serving other people. So, and then 5, 10, 15, 16. It's an 8 day. So 8 is all about infinity. It has to deal also with issues of money. It has to deal with the knees. So you might want to, if you're going hiking, you might want to take extra precaution, because that's a day that it will affect knees, and 8 day will do that. But then it also has to do with the dynamics of that sort of being very prepared. So that's a day too that you want to have that preparation ready and things ready to go. But it's going to be a dynamic day. And then when you look at it again, the 51522, there's that repeating number again. So it's about day for starting new things that might have some fun or some sort of intrigue involved with it, and then bring it into sort of like a dynamic of a community or a setting with that.
Wow.
Does that help?
Yep, that sounds exciting. I'm excited for it. Yeah, I thought it was going to be big. I did the retreat, the goddess retreat, specifically in Sedona around the eclipse, because the eclipse, it's that day. So that sounds exciting. Okay, so now we're into June.
Okay, so now we have to look at June again, and because we're in a year 6, this is going to be another energy charged month because it's the 6th month in a 6th year. So on the days of the 6th of June, the 22nd of June, and the 26th of June, you're going to have, those are going to be your power days again. And so you want to look at that and take a look at what's going on. Now, again, the 6th of June is going to be 6, and then if you actually converted the 2022 to a 6,
Wow.
666. So that might be a day that you want to make sure that you have extra protection around you, you know, because that's not considered one of the best numbers. It's usually a number that's about a warning that, you know, just may pay special attention to that. It may not necessarily mean that evil's coming your way. It's just maybe that's the day that you maybe need to focus on the traffic around you, or where you're traveling to, or maybe who you're interacting with. And maybe just make sure that you don't have energy vampires out there that are going to suck your energy for the day. So take a look at that. But the 6 again is about family. So you're going to see a lot of things happening, you know, in the 6s again. And I look for, you know, that again, I don't want to focus on the pandemic, but by June of this year, there'll probably be a lot of community activities that have started up, a lot more family things, a lot more people doing things with that too, because now we're in a 6th year. Now, last year we were in a 5-year, which is all about risk. So doing some kind of a family thing or an event thing last year in June, a family reunion, would have been risky because it was a 5-year. But now we're into the 6th year, which is all about coming back as a community. So we're going to start to see things that are going to be easier, safer, and, you know, better with that kind of thing. So the 6th month is going to be in a 6th year, all about that service to others, service to yourself, taking care of yourself, and then, you know, getting together and working with, again, partners. So there's a lot of dynamic energy in both February and in June this year.
So let me ask a question. Okay, so June, yeah, let's go back. Okay, so June is also the summer solstice, and I mean we got big energy coming because we have the eclipse coming up in May, and then then we go into, and I think there's the most eclipse ever this year, I think. So then you have the eclipse, and then you have summer solstice, and you know, anytime, these are the big major events that I always see are winter solstice and summer solstice. But I see things start clearing out of people's lives, which makes sense now when you said May, around May, usually 4 weeks before or 6 weeks before the solstice points. So now we have June, and so I'm just wondering how that portrays, because I feel like this is going to be a pretty huge shift this year, especially with COVID and everything. You know, the summer solstice is the 20th or 21st of June, depending where you live. So what is that a big portal point? Just wondering.
Yes, it's always a big portal point. And again, you know, I guess I didn't really mention that my specialty is I do a lot of Chinese medicine. I look at a lot of the Chinese medicine, the times, because something that people don't realize is that traditional Chinese medicine is also based on numbers. Each one of those acupuncture points has a number. There's a different point on the body for that. And that's not the healing thing you and I were talking about before, but also certain times of the day affect different organs. So like, for instance, if you were having COVID at 5 o'clock in the morning, affects your lungs. So you're going to have more lung issues at 5 o'clock, or your lungs will be the clearest at 5 o'clock. And it goes around that, you know, that's why people wake up at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night, because that's the liver. That's when you're most likely to do the energy. You're transferring into that. So you have all of those shifts. And then also we're going to have a shift also that's happening with that on each one of the change of the seasons. So it has to do with switching into those organs of that, which is going to be the heart. The heart will be affected starting at the change of the solstice in June. So any of those times, there's a dynamic point with that. There's a switch with that. So you're going to see that kind of thing. And then think about it, you know, the family is your heart. So of course that kind of goes in line with what's going on with that too. So did I answer your question, or I kind of got off on a tangent there?
Yeah. You're good. You always and then some. Okay, so no, yeah, so it's a big portal, obviously, and it's about family. My other, you know, the other thing that I usually see in June too, which it sounds like it coincides with this, is major change in life. It feels like it's always fun, but it's also change too. And it sounds like, especially May, you said, is change, and then we have the eclipse, which is major things will eclipse out of your life, that no longer serve you. So it may even be that you go a different direction heart wise, right? Or maybe something was in your heart before, and then now something else comes in, or something like that.
Yeah, if you think of May as that risk where you're climbing the ladder on the high dive and you're standing up there on the high dive, that's the risk. And then June is you jump off in May, and June is when you plunge into the water. And so, then you could go in a lot of different directions. So May is sort of like that launching point, and 6 again is about how you bring it together in your life, because when you look at the 6 is also half of the yin and yang symbol. So, 6 and 9 create that yin and the yang symbol. So it's about balance again. So the 6 is all about balance. So you start to notice in June, hey, what was kind of out of balance in my life? What do I need to do to sort of get back into equilibrium? Where's that center? Where can I find my center? And again, we always talk about our heart center. So again, that, is cool to me how the numbers overlap with all of these different things that we have as a saying in our culture that we don't even think about. And then it deals with chakras, and it overlaps with, colors and Chinese medicine. So when you start peeling the layers away, you can see how it's like connect the dots. So again, yeah, June has to do, look, it's the bridal month. That's the month that everybody, gets married. A lot of people want June weddings. And so that's the month you sort of give your heart away, or, you can actually, go and find new directions of things that are your passion or things that you love. So the 6th month, again, because of all of that shift of seasons, and the weather's getting different, and we've just come out of a risky sort of, dare if you may kind of month attitude, that you're getting more back into your center, that you're finding your heart. What's your heart purpose? What's your center? And where do you go from there?
So let me also ask you, I'm a number 6. So for those people that are number 6s like me, is this going to be the year for 6s because it is 6?
Yes. Yes. This is a number where you're going to find probably that your energy is stronger, well, I take that back. It'll either be, the way that it works is it's either something that really helps magnify you if you're sort of living in the energy flow as it's supposed to be, or it could be where you're actually hold yourself back. So, but yes, take advantage of it, because the 6 energy is there. It's going to help magnify you if you're not too afraid of it. And so, that could be anything. It could be volunteering to be on the PTA, or, chairing some kind of a thing for a nonprofit, to getting married, to, whatever it is. But your numbers will help to sort of, it's like the vending machine. It's like, oh yeah, like I can push this and this is what comes out. So it has to do with, if your numbers are strong with that, this is going to be a great year for you too, because it's in harmony, as long as you sort of live in harmony. And we can do things to sabotage ourselves a lot. People who have master numbers, if they don't want to follow that path of the master number, then they have that choice, and they can reduce themselves down to, like you're a 33, you could choose to just have that as a 6 vibration, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that you're not necessarily living your full potential or your full purpose. So this is going to be a strong year for anyone who has a 6 in their chart, no matter where it is, whether it's the total name, the birth date, whatever. So, and again, that's because I look at the Pythagorean value of it, not just the birth date. So this is
Well,
a year to really take advantage of those things.
well, what's interesting is I just moved a month ago from California to here. And of course, I'm living, like you said, living where I'm supposed to be living and doing, and everything's thriving now. But like I tell people, if I would have stayed in California, I know it would have just like killed me. Like it just would have drained every ounce of me. Not that, I don't think California is beautiful, but just the politics, and just and it was seriously just, I'm not meant to be there anymore. I outgrew it. So I am at the place. So I understand what you're saying by how people will sabotage or not do what they're supposed to be doing, and then how that could work out for them. Um,
Yeah.
One other thing too, I wanted just to go by you here before we leave the show here is, I know people are going to ask about this, is bringing up the COVID, and just anything in these numbers. Everybody's wanting life to go back to normal, which there's going to be a new normal, never normal. Is there anything in this numerology that says anything with COVID, moving forward as we go into the summer?
I definitely think that June, is going to be one of those months again where, like I said, last June, a family reunion would have been in June, which is about family, but it was a 5-year, which is about taking risks. And I can tell you, I chose not to go to my family reunion last year. And it was like half the people ended up with COVID, and a lot of them were vaccinated. Some of them weren't, but a lot of them were vaccinated. So, it's not even just about that. Everybody wants to think, well, just the unvaccinated get it. No, that's not the case. And so it was a risk year. And I looked at the numbers. I'm like, it's a risk year. I don't think and the date that it was going to be on. And so as I look at this June going forward, and again, I'm just looking at the numbers. I'm not necessarily saying this is what's going to happen, but 6 this year is about family and relationships. And the month of June is all about community and service and family relationships. So I think the risk factor is gone. Now, May is going to be risky because it's a risky month. And April, I look for that to be where there could still be hard lessons. March is going to be about being creative. So if you're still doing things like you're still going to have to be creative. You're still probably going to have to do that Zoom meeting, or maybe have your groceries delivered, or, whatever it is that you need to do to sort of sidestep what's going on and still be at peace with yourself. But, 4 again is about buckling in and sort of still staying safe. And 5 is going to be risky, which is May. 6 again is when we come back to that balance of community and stuff. And because we're in a 6th year, I personally believe that things are going to start going forward better and more of that sort of new normal starting in June.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Yeah, was that. And it's funny, as you're talking to me about this, the difference on where you live in the world, and I have listeners all over. So coming from California, where everything well, I think the mask mandates are going to be lifted here shortly, but they're still doing that, and they're still very, it's very tight there. And it's funny living in Florida. I don't even know COVID exists anymore. So when you're telling me these things, I'm like, oh, really? COVID's still out there? Because I'm in a whole nother country pretty much. And it's awesome. One of the reasons why I love living here. So that's great news, so it sounds like we're moving into a 6 years. So we will have you back on again. What is the next show going to be? So people, we're going to talk about, what did you say? There's numerologists with healing with numbers, right?
There's a healing session that I do that's an energy healing session. And it is where literally we take the letters and numbers of your chart, your name and your chart. And literally there's 26 different energy gate locks on the body that I can customize a healing session specifically for you based on your numbers. And that will help to bring the balance in with all of that too. So it's it's one of those things that it's just awesome. It's something that no 2 people will have exactly alike, unless of course they have exactly the same name, but then they won't normally have the same birth date. So we take, of course you'd have to have your chart done in order to do that, but it's one of the things that I've found that if maybe somebody's been having something chronic, maybe they constantly have headaches, or they constantly have a cough, or they constantly have this pain in their foot, and whatever it is that we've tried hasn't helped, whether it's chakra balancing or energy healing or Reiki. Once we do this and we customize it, it's like tuning a piano is basically what it's like. We go in and we sort of harmonize and balance all of those different energy things based on your numbers, and it's just a very awesome experience. So that'll be the next show.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking forward to learning all about that. That sounds exciting. But as now, thank you so much for all this information. I'm excited to see the wonderful February. I'm like getting my book out right now. I'm going to be getting my own book out. I've been it sounds like this is the time to flush that out there and all my other projects. So how can people find you?
Okay, so they can find me on Facebook, Rhonda Reif. It's REIF. I also have a webpage, lifespathwaysllc.com. That you could, contact me through that as well. But email holistichorizons@hotmail.com. That's another way to do it. But probably Facebook is probably the easiest. I do have a phone number. It's 319-752-0175. That is found on all of my websites. And if they want to know more, that the Life's Pathways is more my business page. I also have one about the different healing modalities that I do, which is the stressmanagementshop.com. And I just want to do a little shout out. And again, if you can edit this part out, if you don't want to do that. But because of the 22 energy in the month of February, I'm going to offer a special price for my readings. It's a bargain, and it amounts to even more than a 22% discount. Anybody that contacts me and pays during the month of February, I will do their chart for them for $222.
Wow, that's awesome. I would highly recommend, thank you so much for that too. That's awesome. I would highly recommend everyone do that. Rhonda can help you with everything. She can help you with relationships. She can help you with your business, with your future, with healing. I mean, there's really nothing that I think that you can't run by you that you can't help with, because, and I've used her personally. So that's awesome. Thank you for offering the listeners to that. Make sure too, they tell you, right? Make sure they say, hey, listen, I listened to this podcast to get that special.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
I'm not offering it to anybody else, just your listeners.
Okay, awesome. And if you guys can't get her in any other way, you know, you can always reach out to me and I'll always get you guys ahead of her too. So thank you so much for all this information. Thank you for being on my show, and we will have you back ASAP. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki.
All right, everyone. Have a magical day, and we will chat to you next time.